Thank you all, everybody, for being here. I appreciate it. My name is Chris Fenwick. If you don't know my face, it's because I have an audio podcast. You may recognize my online profile, which is actually a profile picture. See how that works? I have a show called FCPX Grill, and all I talk about is Final Cut 10. I also use it in my business in Oakland, California, and I am honored that the people of FCP Works they've asked me to come and be a part of this. For the next 3 days, I think that this room is really going to be kind of the epicenter of the dissemination of knowledge about the latest things that are happening with Final Cut 10. We're going to be seeing software, we're going to be seeing plugins, we're going to be seeing manufacturers of hardware and software, we're going to be listening to people talking about workflow in big projects and little projects and famous projects and projects that you haven't heard about. But all of them are important because they all highlight and use features and functionality of this software that we've chosen to come together and talk about. I'm excited to be here. When it comes to workflow, the guy you want to talk to is my friend Sam. Sam, why don't you come up here? This is Sam Mestman, and he's the chief workflow architect at FCP Works. And he's going to tell us a few things about what we're going to be doing and seeing this week. I'm going to get out of the way, and I'll be back in a minute.
Well, thank you, Chris. Honestly, it's much an honor to have you here, as it is to actually have all of you guys here, because I know you would all much rather be diving through the miles and miles of the show floor and figuring out what Blackmagic did and all these other people. So I really appreciate you guys coming to see us first this morning. And we're going to have some cool things to show you here today, we think. And before we dive into that, though, I kind of want to talk about what we're trying to do here and what the purpose of this week for us is. And really, at the end of the day, we want to be the epicenter for the Final Cut 10 professional. And we also, part of the mission this week is to put to bed once and for all the idea that you cannot be professional with this product and this ecosystem, because you can. And we're going to prove that, we think, definitively this week. And the truth is, in my opinion, this is the most modern, versatile, and flexible program and way of doing things on the planet. And within that, a lot of people ask us the following question, which is, what is FCP Works? What is it do you guys actually do? Like, who are you, and why should we come and see you? And there's 3 answers to this question. And the first of which is, and probably the most important for us, is we are workflow. And for us, workflow can take on a few different meanings, but the chief of it is, how do you get from point A to point B with your project? How do you figure out what your deliverable is and what is the simplest way to get there? And the simplest way to get there can involve a lot of steps. And it's not just Final Cut 10. We are not just Final Cut 10. We are about the heart and soul of what we do is Final Cut 10, and then it is assembling this vast ecosystem of products and people and solutions and codecs and drivers and integrating those so that you can get your work done and your facility and your team can get your work done as quickly as possible. So what we do is we talk with you about, well, what is it that you want to do? How do you want to get from point A to point B in your facility? What interests you and what type of work do you do? And then we want to come up with a plan and a blueprint for you. And once that happens, there's another issue that will turn up, which is, well, just because we came up with a workflow for you, does that actually mean you can do it? And that brings us to integration, which is, well, what tools do you need for your job to actually execute your workflow? And that is the other part of what we do, which is we work with you to find the right tools for your specific job. It doesn't really matter what we want to use. It matters what you guys want to do and what you want to use and what's the best thing for you and your budget. And finally, at the end of the day, you can have the world's best workflow and tools and training, but it really doesn't matter if you know or if we know how to use this stuff. It matters if your team knows how to use this stuff. So a big focus for us is training and teaching your team how to fish. Really, our perfect world scenario is that we come down, we figure out your workflow and what you want to do, we figure out what tools you need and how to get you there, and then we figure out how to come in and the best way to get your team up and running so that you never have to see us again and you can go back around and start making your projects. And that really is our goal, is to teach you guys how to fish and come up with the best possible, fishing rod and net so that you can do what you need to do. And what do we feel like you're gonna have when you come and work with us? We feel like you are going to have a completely modern content creation ecosystem because our industry is changing. There is no doubt about it. If you even go back 10 years, I mean, how many people were working with DV 10 years ago? So did anyone see the red weapon? How many DV images can you fit in the new AK sensor? Does anyone even know? Who's got a calculator? I mean, that's like 10 years ago where this was DV, and now we're here and we're talking reasonably about 8K, and it's like this is a different world. And the question is, where are you at with your facility, and where are you at with what you want to do, and what is the right deliverable for you? Because you can ask 30 different people what they do, and you're going to get 30 different answers. So really the question is, how do you know what the right thing is? And for us, well, we're talking to a lot of people, and anything that we recommend, we tested. So we know it actually works. And that is really the thing, is how do you find a trusted source of information to actually tell you the thing that you need to know in order to deliver what you need to deliver? Because at the end of the day, you just need to get work done. The tech specs at a certain point become irrelevant if you don't know how to do what you need to do. And so what is some of the proof? What have we actually been doing when I say that we've tested and we've done all of these things? The first one you may have heard about recently, and it is Focus, the first studio feature to be edited with Final Cut 10. Mike Matzdorf, who it was my pleasure to work closely with there, is going to be doing a presentation on the details of that workflow later today. So we're going to be diving in a little bit fuller, but let's just say that it was an honor, a privilege, and a pleasure to get to work with Jan, Glenn, John, and Mike, and the rest of the team in terms of taking something that we knew worked and was a good product and bringing that from point A to point B and delivering it to a theater and, quite honestly, showing what you can do with this. And we're going to cover more of the details later, but as far as what FCP Works was involved with on the project, basically we helped get the movie approved through the studio by coming up with a plan in order to say, well, this is how you'd actually do this if you were going to go do this. And then we worked and came up with the ideal possible workflow in terms of managing metadata and what the studio wanted to do with on the daily side, and basically figuring out what they wanted to do and what was important to them, how to work with Aspera and some of these other things, and include that in a workflow that was going to get you from point A to point B. And then along the way, we also helped with the giant transition from 10.9 to 10.1, and taking from iMacs to the Mac Pro, going to a new version of Xsan, to all of these other things. And bottom line is trying to help every step of the way to make sure that these guys could just get their work done and have the tools get out of the way. And we learned a ton from that experience. And a lot of that is paying dividends today, for instance, on this movie, Suburban Cowboy, which you guys have not heard of yet because it just finished shooting a couple weeks ago. And Brian Zwiener is going to be, who's sitting in the audience, is going to have a presentation a little bit later this week on how cool what some of the things you can do in the indie world are. Basically, this was a 6K Red Dragon movie that's going to be edited in Final Cut 10. Brian was the assistant editor. We're going to have the two directors here this week, and he's going to show off tools that were literally developed as we were working on Focus, Shot Notes X and Sync and Link X, which already existed, but we were using it heavily, how those two combined to allow you to assemble a completely ready-to-edit library from set with post living on set and working within the production, because frankly, I think that's where this industry is headed. And if you are not trying to integrate metadata and some of these tools into your workflow, well, everyone else is going to, so you may want to start looking into what some of these processes are and what might be right for you. And additionally, we spent some time this year with the people over at DirecTV, who now have two departments working on the broadcast. One is in series, and Mark Bach, one of the smartest guys in the Final Cut 10 world, he routinely points out all the things I'm doing wrong, is going to be here this week, and he's going to be showing kind of what he's doing. And also there's another promo department, which is where I think Final Cut 10 has a huge leg up on some of the other NLEs. And those guys are off working in a shared environment, off a network, and they're cutting with Final Cut 10 and they're turning out projects. And this is happening in the broadcast world. Additionally, Isaac Waiton from TED is going to be here to come show us what they're doing over at TED Talks, who has fully moved over to Final Cut 10 in their environment. And we were over there to basically do something that I think a lot of editorial teams need, which is like, just because you're a Final Cut 7 editor does not mean you no longer know how to edit. You guys are, editing is still editing, and you can't really teach where a cut should go or where it's just editing. So what we help you do is transition from one platform to another, and so that you can get back to doing the thing that you were really good at, which is editing. And we try and make that transition simpler, and that's what we came in and did with the folks over at TED, who then, as Isaac will show you, no longer needs me and is probably better than I am. So the point is that there are so many people out there who are using this in the real world. So don't believe what you hear. My main recommendation that I tell everyone is use your own eyes and experience and make the decision that's there for you. And we are here to help you if you guys choose to pursue this path. So what are we going to be seeing this week? We are going to be seeing all kinds of things on the hardware side. Alex Grossman, the father of XSAN, is going to be here with multiple presentations. He's going to be showing off group workflow and shared storage. Also, our CTO, Rune Hansen, in probably the top group workflow person maybe in the world. You just may not have heard of him, but has the resume that is absurd when you look at it. He's going to be giving a best practices for your SAN in your facility that really you guys should really pay attention to. He's going to be showing off some basic things that you can do to ensure a positive group workflow experience. So if you're looking, regardless of what solution you're looking at, these are best practices in terms of how to manage a facility with a SAN. So you guys should absolutely come check that out. Additionally, AJA is going to be here showing off 4K ProRes workflow with the Scion. I think shooting, editing codecs, and bringing those right into the edit is probably what is going to simplify a whole lot of things for facilities, and a great example of this is the AJA camera. So if you're wondering how 4K ProRes workflow works, this might be a great presentation for you. Additionally, this room at the moment is designed largely with Blackmagic products at the moment in terms of how we're going to be shooting and live cutting and getting these presentations up to YouTube throughout the week. So Blackmagic is going to be here showing off some of their new solutions. I think, anyone else get the press release? I think there's did they say 80 new products or something? No. I imagine a few of those will be here this week. And additionally, if you also look around the room, there are some fantastic monitors from Azo. And they've also recently released a 4K grading monitor, which is fully color accurate. We're entering a 4K world. That's going to be here this week. And they're also going to be part of the color finale presentation later this week. And additionally, on the software side, we have all kinds of things happening. Steve Martin and Mark Spencer are going to be showing off all kinds of things in Final Cut and Motion. A lot of what they're going to be doing is a bit of a surprise. So if you were interested in some power features and some new really cool things that might be happening in Final Cut, you probably are going to want to come to those sessions. Additionally, Philip Hodgetts from Intelligent Assistance is going to be here showing you some amazing things with real world stuff. I don't want to spoil the fun, but if you're interested in unscripted workflow, if you do documentary, reality, sports, medical, any of those things, this is a must-see tool. It's just going to save you an epic amount of time. And he's also the father of all of those other applications, Producer's Best Friend, 7x, X-to-7, and Sync and Link. And the bottom line is he's going to be here, and this is a presentation you are not going to want to miss. DaVinci Resolve on the software side allows you guys in the ecosystem to deliver at a high end. You guys all know it's the industry standard color correction tool, and which NLE does it round trip best with at the moment? It's Final Cut 10. Additionally, if you are into After Effects and graphics workflows and you need to do batch exporting in Final Cut 10, there is Clip Exporter, as well as Primaries Exporter. And Clip Exporter is for After Effects workflows. Primaries Exporter is for batch exporting. Additionally, if you're doing sound turnover, you can do X to Pro, which is going to get you into Pro Tools or Logic. And a lot of people have a lot of issues when it comes to sound design. Ask me at a certain point. I will show you a demo on how to deliver a perfectly organized AAF to your sound designer that is going to make them smile, actually, which they very rarely do, I found, on delivery. But it's highly organized, and it works. And additionally, there are some facility level services that you guys, for some of you guys in facilities, that you may be interested in. Softron is here to show how to work with growing files in Final Cut 10 and their movie recorder solution, which is multiple, like 8 streams, I believe, of HD can come in over Softron movie recorder. So that is here demoing as we speak, and they're going to have a presentation as well. For data asset management, immediately following my keynote is Cantemo Portal. Additionally, on the plugin side, FX Factory is going to show off their ecosystem of plugins and how easy it is to manage those across multiple machines. Color Finale is going to be here, and they're going to be showing off, well, they came and went. Apparently we're on to Core Melt now. But Color Finale is going to be here, and they're going to be showing off what I think is the single biggest request I've had, which is getting curves right into Final Cut 10. And they also, it is a fantastic color tool that fills in a lot of gaps. You also get your 3-way color correction back. It's a great plugin. Denver Riddle is going to be here. And finally, Core Melt is going to be here showing off their new additions to what I think is the best design plugin in the world, which is SliceX, and they've added some really cool things in there, so they're going to be here as well. And the bottom line is, when we do all of this stuff, like, what is FCP Works? For us, what we would like to be is the place that you come to see all of these different tools and these solutions and figure out what you want to do, and you come to us, and we hopefully are the place for you where it all comes together. So thank you guys so much for being here, and we are going to have a fantastic set of presentations this week, and I think we're all set, Chris, right?
Nailed it. Look at that.
Yeah.
Big words, tons of slides. Sam Messman, right? Yeah. I can't help to think, it seems like you're glazing over something, no?
What do you mean?
Nothing new?
Oh, did you want to see the new version?
Yeah, everybody wants to see the new version, Sam. Let's take a look at that.
You guys want to see a demo? Okay.
Check this out. I get one button they let me push here. That one. All right, let's see this thing.
Yeah, this morning there was a new version of Final Cut 10 released in the App Store today. If you come over here, you're going to see the nice Yosemite-style icon. And basically, we are now in Final Cut 10. So in terms of what's new in
What's the version number?
This is 10.2. So you guys missed all the releases between then and now.
Took a nap, missed 10.1.5, 10.2.
So we're at 10.2 now. And there is some awesome stuff in here. And basically, I think the show stealer is this little thing here, which is, if we come, I've got my, I've got my mouse set to natural, but if we come over here, there's this little thing, a basic 3D title. And where would you find this? It's in the titles browser, and it's basic 3D. There's a few other 3D titles in there. So, you know, at first glance, this looks basically like a title, Chris. But you can do certain things with this title. So if we go, and I click on this title now, you may notice these things from motion.
Yeah, those are the little 3D global manipulators for motion.
And
but you're in Final Cut.
We are in Final Cut. So we have the full titling capabilities of motion now in Final Cut. And you can move an X, Y, and Z space just the way you would in motion.
Extrude.
And so, what can you do with this now? Well, you have full 3D capability in Final Cut. So let's just go ahead and extend this out. And notice, you know, how seamless some of this is in terms of expanding. So this is going to change the way titles get done, especially at a lot of facilities where you need to turn around things quickly. Like, this is now living right in the application. So you have all kinds of, you can change the bevel size on the front edge. You can do this on the back edge. It's fully customizable, but wait, there's more. So if we come down here, we're going to notice these sets of materials. Right now, we have a basic material on it. But if I hit here, we can now go in, and let's just start with a metal front. And I don't know, you want to do brush metal? What do you want to do, Chris?
I'm feeling costly. Let's do something expensive.
All right.
Like gold.
We'll do gold.
Yeah.
All right. And actually, why don't I just go and click in here, and we'll just type in FCP Works. I should probably spell this right. 3D. And we'll just go and move this in here. Okay. So now we have a gold title, and it comes in with a standard built-in animation right in there. And now I have a gold title, which is great. But what if you wanted to do more with your title, right? You could switch over to multiple materials. And now we have a front edge, a side, a back edge, and a back. So if I wanted to go and work on the bevel, I could now select the front edge, come in under the bevel, and now I have all of these materials that I can now apply to the bevel. So for instance, if I go under plastic, I'm gonna do something horrible to this because just so you guys can see it. So we're gonna do green plastic
Workflow
on the
architect,
bevel.
right? not lead designer.
Okay. There's no creative thing here. I'm just the tech guy. So basically, if you notice, I've just now added this material as a bevel. And what if I wanted to do something on the side as well? So let's go in and let's just on the side, just so you guys can see the difference. We'll just put, we'll put some stone in there. How about some slate? And if you notice around the side now, it's going to be fully customizable. So now this is now slate. And if you notice how quickly the response time is, and if you've used other plugins and situations, this makes 3D text easy. And it's extremely powerful.
And is that what's the speedy processor? Is it 12?
Oh yeah, we're working off the 12 core here. However, this will work on an iMac. This is going to work off a Retina. The point is the response time is far higher than we probably are used to expecting when it comes to this sort of work. And you can churn these out as you're seeing, like I can do this in a fraction of the time that I normally would. So when you're doing lower thirds and name bars and some of these things, you can do your basic template in motion, shoot these out and type it in and change your style or save your style, whatever you need to do. So that is, I think, the headliner. And from here, you can even go in and you can add substances on top of this. So if I go and I select my front edge now, I'm going to go
And when you say edge, you mean the bevel,
add
right?
a layer, right? So I can add a substance, which is concrete, fabric, metal, plastic. I can add paint, finish. I can add distress, so we can put scratches on, for instance.
And you can make the bevel thicker and modify that too.
And they have multiple different templates for the scratches. We can also go in and add an emit, which is kind of like a glow. And pretty much, I can now go around and so the possibilities when you think about this are largely limitless. You're limited more or less by your imagination. And this happens right in Final Cut. And it kind of highlights how motion and Final Cut are designed to work together, as opposed to always going outside your applications. You can now use motion to come inside and modify and do what you need to do inside your app, limiting round tripping and going outside. And the more that you can do inside your editor, the less time you spend conforming. And I think that is a huge benefit. And you can turn around amazing looking things extremely quickly. But that is not the only thing that's in there. Chris, what were you curious about?
You were talking about the color correction earlier.
Right.
We were looking at that right as we, seriously, at like 9:01, just so you guys know, at 9:01, we hit download from the App Store.
So, just so you guys know, they have moved the color board out of, there is not by default, if we go and I select this clip, there is no longer by default a color filter.
Right, because it used to be, it would start with, the inspector and your color board, so it's not actually part of it was, I don't even know how you say it was sort of default. Now it's actually just a layer of one of the effects that you add.
So your color correction filter is now here, right? So I can double click, just give me 1 second. So you can double click and now you have color board corrections here, which you can now delete. However, you can also, if you want a shortcut to get there, just push Command 6, which was the old color board key, and that's going to automatically, as soon as you make an adjustment, you're now going to automatically have your color board back. So
Now,
it's still there. It's on the clip, but what is the reason that...
Well, this is really significant because if you think about the architecture the way it used to be, and this is something that we had talked about before, that you could put the broadcast safe effect on, the filter on, but then you could actually break it because the color board in the chain was after that. So now you can adjust where that color corrector happens. That's really powerful, actually.
So say that you have a standard correction that you know you want to use, for instance, something like this, which looks great. And you want to use this across your, multiple projects, libraries, etc. Ordinarily, you'd have to copy and paste and do all of this stuff. But if we come back into the inspector here, you can do something pretty awesome, which is, if you notice this thing on the bottom, there's Save Effects Preset now.
Nice. Oh, wow.
So we're going to call this FCP Works Ugly. And we're going to put this in a brand new category.
Nice.
And we're going to call this FCP Works Color. And we're going to go ahead and create. And if you notice, you have all of your paste attributes in here too. So those you can custom pick and choose what you want the effect to do within there. And so when I click Save, we're now going to see I now have an FCP Works Color category. So there's a really easy way to go and manage all of your effects. And if you're wondering where these go and live, well, the best way to do that is to control-click here and go to Reveal in Finder. And there we go. There's your effects preset that you can then get rid of and manage.
Very cool. You could throw it out. You can share it. You could email it, probably. It would make sense.
So this becomes extremely flexible and usable across your machines and how you go and manage things. Additionally, there's some other really cool stuff. So let's go ahead and delete this. And if we go here.
Okay, now, can I ask you one question?
Sure.
We didn't rehearse this, but so you had the attributes thing.
Mm-hmm.
So when you save the preset, you could also tell that preset to say, crop it like this, scale it like this, rotate it like this, and have that be part of the preset.
Why don't we test it? So let's do a little bit of a transform here.
Let's try it.
And we're going to put FCP Works Ugly back on. And we're going to go to Save Effects Preset.
Doing a good demo 101. Don't try something new in front of an audience. And here we go.
All right, so now we're going to select Scale and Color Correction. So we'll do FCP Works Ugly Scale. And we're going to save this. And now there it is. And if you look there, the scale has been applied.
I just apply it to another, drag it to another clip.
So we're going to go and put this on, and look at that.
Oh, wow. That's cool.
Comes right over.
So, I mean, if we were in one timeline, you can copy and paste attributes. That's fine. Mm-hmm. But this way, I can, save it for an additional project for a client.
For instance, if you wanted to go and put this across a whole group of clips that you had to switch the aspect ratio for instance, and you also wanted to apply a LUT on top of it, that might be a great way to do that. There's a million different applications for this, and it's really a question of what you now want to do, and you can basically use your imagination.
Okay, let's talk masks now.
Okay, so there is also some other pretty cool stuff in here, and if we come back to this clip, there were some other features that were introduced. And let's go back to Transform, and if we now go under Masks, you have a whole bunch of custom masks. And now I'm going to click here, and with this, actually, we'll turn this off, done. And it says click to add a control point. So now I'm just going to go boom, boom,
nice,
boom, boom, boom. So a lot of this graphic stuff that you're used to doing in other applications no longer needs to be done that way. You can just come right in, and for most things, you can do what you need to do, and then for the more advanced stuff that you need tracked, you can use something like Slice X to do that. And there we go. So now I can go back and quickly adjust these control points, etc. So a lot of the stuff that you've been using in Motion can now be done there, and it can be done here. You can also do the same thing with the graduated mask, with the shape mask. They have all of these custom masks that are now living right inside your application. They're highly flexible, they're easy to use. And, one other thing that I should show you on the color correction side. Let's go and re-add a color filter here.
So again, that was Command Shift 6.
Command 6 is going to bring up your color board.
All right.
And if you go here, there's one other cool thing, which is now, if I go into my scopes,
Oh, nice.
you can have multiple scopes living in there for color correction. And you can also change your views. We can do a 2-up. And
Oh, very cool.
I mean, there's literally, you know, it's like whatever you guys want to do, you can now do. That's the bottom line.
I'm sitting here fighting the urge to like,
Oh, go ahead.
to like, you know, box you out and take the last. No, I don't want to do that.
So there's also accelerated red GPU debayering now. So it's now using Premiere Style or any of these other apps, or Resolve. Final Cut now does that for red footage. Performance is really good. Optical flow got a big enhancement. What else am I missing?
The thing I will say is, you talked about it with the 3D text, but everything just, it really seems slick and fast and snappy.
So this brings us to basically the final point with all of this is like, at the end of the day, we get so lost in features and how many new features came in here and what do these things all do? But if you notice how easy it is for me to just go and drag and drop these things and move this stuff around, that's the real advantage. These are integrated and these work easily where you can move across and do what you need to do and get in and out quickly. There's not a lot of complicated stuff. There's not a lot of preferences. You just come in and it's extremely powerful and you get your work done and you export and you finish. And that's the point.
Very cool.
So anyway, guys, we're going to be here all week. If you want to go take a deeper dive, Mark Spencer is going to be here on the motion side later today. Steve Martin is going to be here on the Final Cut side later today. And Mike Matzdorf is going to be here on the focus side. And immediately following this, if you're really interested in what's going on with data asset management, you're going to want to stick around and see what's happening with Contamo Portal. And if you guys are here this week, feel free to come say hi. I'm here all week. I'd love to talk with all you guys. Thank you so much.
Thanks for coming.